In 2021, Jake Davison was a 22-year-old man living in Plymouth in the UK with his mother Maxine. Jake had struggled with fitting in since childhood. After being diagnosed with both autism and ADHD, he'd been enrolled at Mount Tamar School for special needs children. In Jake's third year of secondary school, a guidance counsellor who reviewed him stated of how Jake had an extraordinary love of guns and had wanted to become involved with them. Not thinking too much into this, the counsellor had recommended that Jake join the Army Cadets. It was in November of 2016, however, when this same counsellor received a call from Jake's worried mother, claiming that her son was becoming isolated and obsessed with weapons. Once again, this counsellor met with Jake to discuss his career prospects and the direction in which he wanted his life to head. Jake had responded by saying that his real passion was guns and he wanted to work in a gun shop. Now becoming concerned, the counsellor raised this with her manager and asked that a referral be made to a prevention course, but this was never followed up on. When Jake had left school, he gained work as an apprentice crane operator. In his free time, however, unlike many young men his age who would go out and socialise, Jake would isolate himself in his bedroom and make YouTube videos under the username Professor Waffle. These were not light-hearted comedy or gaming videos, however. These were hate-filled rants that would heavily reference the incel subculture and his plummeting mental health. The incel culture has become a growing issue in recent years, with many young men turning to the internet to find other like-minded individuals to preach to. Inceldom refers to individuals who define themselves as unable to get a romantic or sexual partner despite desiring one. Many incels blame the opposite gender for their inability to find a partner and become increasingly angry when they are rejected. Jake turned to Reddit to share his hostility and resentment, expressing both misogynistic and homophobic views, and even targeting his own mother, who had repeatedly attempted to persuade him to receive treatment for his dwindling mental health. The videos that Jake would post to YouTube would highlight how he felt he had missed out on a teenage romance, and referred to chads, a slang word for confident and sexually active men. In one clip, he even said that he considered using drugs to make up for that missed teenage experience and stated, "I have a feeling like I missed that boat and it's never coming back." At one point, he described himself as autistic or whatever, and complained that his workplace was a male environment. He said, "I'm not very social and naturally quite antisocial, so I don't have big social circles where I know I can meet girls." In a curse-filled rant, he expressed his resentment about seeing others with more success than him. He compared his life to a Terminator movie and said, "Everything is rigged against you. There's no hope for humanity." In 2016, the first documented physical altercation by Jake Davison was logged when he'd been reported to police for attacking a man and his pregnant girlfriend in an unprovoked attack. Jake had received a warning from police, but was not prosecuted. It is believed that Jake had targeted the couple out of jealousy and the resentment of not being able to have a loving relationship himself. Jake went on to apply for a shotgun certificate in July of 2017, in which he declared autism and Asperger's syndrome on the form. In 2018, he received his license to own a firearm, despite his father expressing to police that he did not think his son should be allowed one. As time bore on, it was clear to see that Jake was becoming more and more frustrated with his life, his lack of friends, a girlfriend, or a support network. His online content became more frequent, with the main topic being that he was now 22 years old and had still not had a sexual partner. In 2020, in a desperate bid to become more attractive to girls, Jake had become interested in weightlifting and bodybuilding. A boyfriend of Jake's mother's, who had briefly lived at the home on Biddick Drive, had said that he had seen Jake using steroids, and he would also drink 12 energy drinks a day and would ingest protein supplements as part of his weight training regime. Jake was also active in gun enthusiast subreddits. In one detailed rant, he had preached of his belief that mass shootings had no connection to gun control. As time progressed, Jake's mother noticed the change in her son, as did neighbours. One neighbour said, "Maxine and Jake used to be close. You'd see him helping her with the shopping at Lidl, but they started to clash a lot." Jake also alluded to a financial dispute with his mother over benefit money that he felt he was owed. He wrote, "Luckily, I got PIP money because I legit have autism, which I should have taken from my mother at 18 years old. But really, like an idiot, she manipulated and guilt-tripped me into letting her have it, until at 22, I decided enough is enough, and I took it from her." Jake would often refer to his mother with derogatory terms, once branding her, "my vile, dysfunctional, chaotic mother." On August the 11th of 2021, Reddit suspended Jake Davison's account after he made inappropriate comments to a 16-year-old American female. He had initially been friendly with the girl and had discussed having a relationship with her, before the conversation soured. According to the report, the girl complained that he had repeatedly asked her to date him, travel to see him, and have intercourse, and had even made comments about how intercourse with someone of her age is acceptable because it was legal in the UK. Various users urged her to report Jake Davison to the police, but she wrote that she did not know what to do and had been advised by her mother not to. The next day, Jake would finally snap. At around 6 p.m. the next day, on the 12th of August 2021, Jake had a physical altercation with his mother Maxine at the home that they shared. A distressed Maxine immediately contacted her sister, causing her sister to call the police. She explained to the operator that her sister's son had mental health issues, had grabbed her by the throat, and would not let her out of the bedroom. Just minutes later, between 6:05 p.m. and 6:08 p.m, Jake opened fire with his legally owned pump-action shotgun, killing his mother inside the house. He then left the house, shotgun in hand, and witnesses described Jake firing upon a 3-year-old girl and her 43-year-old father in the street. They were later identified as Lee Martin and his daughter Sophie. Lee was walking the family dog Mabel, while Sophie pushed her teddy along in a pram, holding her father's hand. Next, he injured a 53-year-old woman and her 33-year-old son in a house on Biddick Drive, the street in which he had lived, before shooting and killing a 59-year-old man in a nearby park. This man was Stephen Washington, a full-time carer for his wife. He had been shot in the chest as he walked his 2 dogs. At 6:11 p.m, Devon and Cornwall police received reports of shots having been fired in multiple locations. Jake then went to Henderson Place, where he came across a 66-year-old woman. This victim had been artist Catherine Shepherd. She had been shot and later died at Derriford Hospital from a gunshot wound to her stomach. Jake then told a passing resident, "There's nothing to worry about, mate." Shortly before killing himself, Jake was described as walking like he was on patrol, like a soldier with a gun and a blank expression. At 6:23 p.m, he shot himself on Henderson Place. Armed police, the Hazardous Area Response Unit, National Police Air Service, and around 3 ambulances raced to the scene and arrived within 6 minutes of the emergency phone calls. They described the events as a serious firearms incident and established 13 different crime scenes within the cordoned-off area. In the aftermath of the tragedy, an evening vigil was held on the 13th of August at North Down Crescent Park in Keyham. Flags in the city were flown at half-mast, and Smeaton's Tower was lit up that evening as a mark of respect. On the 19th of August 2021, the inquest into the deaths of Davison and his victims was opened in Plymouth. On the 20th of February 2023, the jury returned a verdict of unlawful killing of all of the victims. Ian Arrow, the senior coroner for Plymouth, said, "There was a serious failure by Devon and Cornwall Police's Firearms and Explosive Licensing Unit in granting and later failing to revoke the perpetrator's shotgun licence. In February of 2022, Jake Davison's father Mark was interviewed for the BBC and said that he was sorry and ashamed of his son's actions.